afternoon, you beautiful people at home. I'll say it again because production didn't put my mic on. Good afternoon, you beautiful people. Or if you're in the Europe evening, welcome. It's the 29th of February, bonus day this year for you all. And we're going to, well, spend time watching Smite and getting those points and talk about those points real quick. If you're watching in Mixer chat or Twitch chat, make sure you've got your accounts linked and you'll be getting credits and points that you can spend in the esports store. Go ahead and do that. Today, though, we're all going to be focusing on North America and the final week of play to get themselves qualified for the groups. And joining me on the set, first of all, is going to be the Blues Clues master himself. It's Gormizer. How you doing?
I'm doing great. In fact, I like the fact that you pointed out today is a leap day.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure it means that everything that happens today is fake and doesn't actually reflect reality.
It's also free.
For at least 4 more years,
The
I should say.
whole day is free, technically. Unless you've got to work, and then you've got to work an extra day. Right?
I had the bizarre question this morning where it was just I can't remember the origin of it. Like, I used to be able to give you a fact like that and be like, yeah, this is why we do it. And I can't remember for the life of me. Time's a construct. Nothing's real.
Do you know what? After the break, I'll tell you. Actually, no, I'll tell you now. 365 days and a quarter in every year, and that's the rotation, I believe, of the Earth around the sun, if I remember correctly. And because it's a quarter, you can't have a quarter of a day. So what we do is every 4 years, you get an additional day.
Hey, that's what it was.
There you go. Look at me, looking genius for a change. Let's have a little look back at what we saw yesterday, first of all. The group stages for North America were played through, the group stages were secured for all these teams after the final week. We got Group A and Group B ready to roll next week for you all. We're going to bring in you some of those games to see who qualifies for the SCC. Gore, any names really stand out there?
I mean, I'm looking at Baskin's team specifically. That's going to be a very, like, Group A, if I remember correctly, like 2 spots seem almost secured because it's Sino and Baskin and their team coming through. They're going to be very difficult to beat, and so a lot of those teams have a lot of work to put in to try and secure their spot in there. Whereas Group B, like, you've got Hype Unit, you've got a couple of names that theoretically should gravitate towards the top, but it's a lot more kind of Wild West over there where anything could happen.
Well, that's NA, or rather the Naughty Boys corner, as I call it, with how things have been going there through the qualifiers. We'll switch over to Europe now and have a little look at the final week of the qualifiers. Whoever gets to the semi-finals here today and onwards will move on to the group play in Europe next week. So you can see Freshly Forward and Optionist Gang have definitely made it, but we're going to start things off here with Chips Mafia up against Forever. And I'm looking through these rosters, and I'm going to ask you questions because you're not going to know either, because who are these kids?
I don't know
any of them.
They've got some fun names, though. And my personal favorite, I'm going to give Dark Wizard. I just think that's a cool name, and so I guarantee he has to win it.
Dark
Based
Wizard
on name alone.
is on Forever, just so you all know.
Yes.
But there's also TheDarkSorrow on
the
Chips
other side.
Mafia. A nice little combo package of one of the other.
But one comes more like Mystic. Like, if Merlin decided to just be evil, he's a Dark Wizard now. The other one is like, man, I'm 13 listening to Bright Eyes. I'm in middle school again.
Oh, yeah.
I'm Dark-Sorrow.
Yeah, or maybe he evolved to Wizard afterwards. We'll find out.
You never know.
So as we get towards picks and bans, and we're going to start to look at what these two teams are going to bring this week. Go for me, where are you expecting the sort of bans to fall? Because we've seen, a couple of weeks now of play. We've started to establish some of the meta picks, the meta bans, what we're looking at.
Kukul Khan, in my mind, is one of the top ones. Him and Persephone, when it comes down to mid, if you have players, well, Kukul Khan, everyone should be able to play him in mid lane. Pretty basic, I think, at level, and then escalates into something that can just be a menace in the right hands. Persephone is a little more high-end, but if you have someone who plays her, she is ridiculously strong for your team. They pretty much should be banned in the first 6. Then you start to look at where's, like, Odin and Bastet falling. Bastet's actually not been banned too much, but she combos well with Morrigan. She's been getting banned a whole lot lately. So there's been a lot of mages in the discussion. Heimdall can be kind of hit or miss depending on the team. And I'm really looking at those mid lane mages, I think, more than anything as the highest priority. And then some other stuff follows through. Camazotz, if you want to take some other flavor,
that's true. His
control in the solo lane right now is a little too much.
Well, let's get into picks and bans then. Have a little look at how these are going to go. Chips Mafia up against Forever. And it's going to be Chips with the first pick, first ban option. So we're talking about the mid lane mages. Kukulkan's expected. There's a Morrigan ban. No real surprise in Morrigan. She definitely is very good and competitive. You can play with her.
It's just really difficult to say, hey, I can become anybody in this game and then use all of their abilities plus my other 3 abilities and then think, man, that sounds terrible.
Camazotz and Persephone also banned away. You mentioned Camazotz, and I think that's just the amount of sustain he's got, as well as this new Caduceus shield that we're seeing a bit more of now. He's very, very impactful with it.
It's healing for him, healing then for his team. He just stays alive so much. He's got a lot of survivability in his kit, and if you ever fear for your life, you just ult and get out of there. Granted, it's not a guaranteed exit, but for the most part, people will disengage on you. They can't completely chase you down with it, so you keep yourself so safe that you can just run the lane.
Well, Odiger's going to get banned out. Obviously, Kukulkan, Yemoja, Persephone from Forever. And then Chip's going to select Hun Batz' first pick. There was some talk at the desk yesterday about this pick of Hun Batz first. I mean, it's relatively safe, right? But it's also, like, almost too safe in my eyes.
Yeah, it's that weird, you know he's going to work, but he's not like, man, I need this. Like, I don't come into a game and think Hun Batz is going to be the essential winning portion for my team. I think he's going to help. I don't think there's anything that is a detriment to having him there. And it might just be a, you know what? With Camazotz off the board, maybe we don't have another assassin in mind. Let's just grab the one that we know best. We knew Hun Batz. We know that Fear No Evil is insanely good when it comes to getting good ganks off after level 5.
Yeah.
Let's just pick him up and not have to deal with him on the other side.
Well, Forever looks like they've locked in their dual lane now with Xing and Jing Wei, and that's confirmed now that Kukulkan's locked in for that solo, and Geb and Ho Yi in response. So the dual lane's kind of sorted out here. Kukulkan is definitely something that I do want to touch on a little bit. He's starting to see more and more a rise of play in the solo lane once again.
I think people have figured out where he's been more accessible. I think some of the changes to Glad Shield as well helped him kind of come back into the meta, and it's just that play style of, once I understand him, I think more at a fundamental level, especially getting his rage meter under wraps, he's really strong and really good at bullying people out of that lane. It's just making sure you keep track of that in the game. You have to have a little more focus on that bar.
Nice little suggestion there from Chips to ban away your Wheelix. They could have looked for that for themselves, actually, which is pretty good against Xing and, of course, Kukulkan and Jing Wei, too. But instead, they're going to ban that away because they've already got that Hun Batz, so no real shocks there. Merlin, Sun Wukong. So they're really trying to limit some of what Chips can do in that solo lane. They don't want Sun Wukong there, who isn't someone that, well, screams to me as a terrifying factor.
He's not been really big lately. I mean, if you look at the last few weeks, no one's really been playing him. And when we have seen him, he's not the impact he used to be. He does bring a lot to the table. It's just all of it's kind of underwhelming in comparison to what you'll see out of the likes of like Kukulkan, or if you look at your King Arthurs, like people that will run that solo lane. Wukong doesn't really fall on the list.
Chaac will run that solo lane. He'll do well in the solo lane, but what can he do after he gets out of the laning phase? Baron Samedi also locked in him. I'm interested by that Baron Samedi pick here, Gore, because honestly, like, he's got a little bit of a buff to the early game clear, but outside of that, could struggle.
What's weird to me is that we've seen it most successful recently in the solo lane and not necessarily in mid. And based on the draft, it looks like it should be a more mid lane kind of standard Baron. But he does bring some sustain. He's got some good damage. I love his ult for what it can provide for your team. I just don't know how well it synergizes or even doesn't synergize with Forever. It just kind of feels like a, hey, I like Baron, let's play him.
Well, we're definitely scaling into the late game with both these compositions as it goes on. Any favorite for this one?
I'm looking at Chips Mafia. I like their draft.
Well, let's get it over to Dave and Mifflin and find out exactly how this one goes down.
Happy to bring it to you. Thank you, Graham and Gore, on the consortium of knowledge, as Agro so aptly called it. Mifflin joins me on the call for this quarterfinal game. Two teams still. We had a bit of this yesterday. Teams looking to lock themselves into that group stage, and a win here for Chips Mafia or Forever will do that, and then seeding determined in the semifinals. And I kind of want to piggyback Mifflin right off the bat. We kind of had a conversation about Baron Samedi on the desk, and so often we've seen him in the solo lane, but this is going to be one of our first looks at him in this mid lane.
Baron Samedi is generally picked in the solo because it's a lot safer than the middle of the map. You don't want to be an immobile mage who really doesn't have any self-peel outside of the root, surrounded by 3 enemies at all times, right? Like the jungler, the support, the mid laner, they're all going to be trying to kill you. That's not really great. Scylla at least has a jump. She's not the safest. But if you put him over in solo, that's largely an island. He can farm up for the late game, get a little bit tankiness online, and then start rotating into the fights.
It was a really small kind of specific side note, and it happened almost immediately. Richard started that Hand of the Gods and soloed off that blue buff, and that's going to give him a small bit of a lead there, but takes away maybe a little XP from his jungler.
Well, it's because the jungler elected to start on the red side of the map. I think they maybe were worried about an invade coming off the Hun bots. He's going to go ahead and clear his speed buff now. But having your speed delayed like that means he's going to have less speed buffs throughout the duration of the game than Hun bats will. You know, me, a jungler, I hate that. I hate that for him.
Yeah, you're sad about that?
I'm not happy for him, but this is a new start, a new season. We'll see how it works out.
And if nothing else, it'll give Richard a bit of an XP lead. So he was able to get back to that wave in time, and it is the Chulainn in that solo lane going against the Chaac, another god that we haven't seen all that often. Not surprised to see him in the solo lane, but already a duel here is going to have some healing to keep him in this fight a little bit longer. And wow, Graham pointed it out. He figured he could survive in the solo lane, and he does one better and grabs first blood.
This is exactly what you need from your Chaac because, as Hindu stated earlier, he's going to do well in the lane. He's not going to do great outside of it, so we really need him to do well in that lane. And getting a first one at 2 minutes is a good way to start it. Forcing out the teleport as well, he should be able to look for an invade on the blue buff if he times his back properly.
And how impactful is that now? Because he did start Hand of the Gods up in that solo lane. And so you got the blue buff, but immediately have that stripped away from you. A gank in the long lane, though, might turn around to kill for forever, and one more shot will do it. There is a little bit of peel here. Geb comes to save the day. That's a good mark and a good stun. And that gets that Hu Yi out safely, but some early game pressure already in this long lane.
They're lucky they had the rotation in. Hu Yi had the front foot there. He Divine Kaori Miyazono. I'm going to try it.
I'm glad you said it because I was going to stick with Hu Yi until you took a jab at it. So.
Yeah, you know, I'm a bit of a weeb myself, so I can read some Romanji. But he got that double stun over there. Didn't really get to confirm the kill because of the rotation in. We're going to take a look at this first blood here. These autos chunking 64, goodness.
Yeah, does that surprise? That is a serious amount of early game damage from a Chaac, and Chulainn again off of that good start, right? He got the hog, and yeah, you steal away some farm from your jungler, but you got an early blue buff, and you would think that maybe that lane pushes in his favor.
It should have got him the XP lead, but he didn't leverage it very well. No, it doesn't really translate to a kill that early, especially in a Chaac. Leveling his 3 at level 2, that's so much sustain that Chulainn has a little bit of anti-heal, but he can't really challenge that so early in the game, and it looks like he doesn't really realize how dominant Chaac is with those huge autos.
Well, there's going to be a slight XP lead and a gold lead up there in that solo lane. Is that a Transcendence maybe first on the board here for Revan?
You know, it could be. It's definitely a decent stacking item. Mana's really good on Chaac. Let's hold that thought as our boy Geb caught out in the middle lane.
Yeah, Oz moves itself a little bit too far in on that one, and that middle lane presence that we so often see form around this 4, 5, 6 minute mark continues. The long lane has been kind of abandoned by both of the Guardians, but that doesn't mean the dueling stops. That's an aggressive airstrike just to plug away some damage. Hu Yi has a level lead. He's going to move himself forward. No kill this time either way, and the dueling continues up in that long lane, but this all stems from the fact that that Geb got a little overextended in the mid.
Yeah, these teams look like they're playing a little bit hesitant right now. I'm seeing nerves for sure, but can we really blame them? It's the last week in qualify, and this match is as good as it's going to get. And with two absolutely no-name teams, this is the best matchup you can hope for to qualify into the group stage, so they're all putting it on the table today.
I guess this is the beauty of the SCC, right? That, you know, even if you haven't been a big name in the scene up until this point, you can show up and you can prove it, and you can move yourself into the group stages, and both teams looking to fight for that now. Big XP lead. It was 2 levels just a moment ago. If you look at the supports, who I imagine will continue to try to make their mark on this middle lane. Baron Samedi pull one in there, and he's not going to connect on too much. Shielding, as you point out, is going to get them out safely. There's a rotation from that Chaac, who does so much damage. Oh my, immediately melted down. iagog is sad that he was there. Baron Samedi catches a death, and Chips Mafia grab their second kill.
And that's the weakness of Baron mid. The second your CC immune ult is down, it's no longer available as self-heal. You can't do anything about it. He's got no mobility. Chaac just walked in slowly, mind you. He didn't even teleport in, ulted him, and it was over from there.
Well, it was that early Transcendence buy from the Chaac checking back in on Revan. So he's going to get that stacking up. And I guess it's not surprising then seeing that much damage coming out from that character.
Absolutely not. Getting the Transcendence online as quickly as he did as well is so impressive. Usually if you get Transcendence online around this point, it means you had foregone the Blessing. But he's got Warrior's Blessing as well for that additional tankiness. And transferring his lead in the solo this early to the mid, identifying that Baron is the easy pick, that's smart play.
Well, that's always the kind of difficult pivot, right? You grab a good lead for yourself in the solo lane. How do you then suddenly turn that around and try to make an impact? And Richard is just trying to duel this Chaac, but does get some good damage. And I imagine that's maybe where this one stands. Chaac does have his ultimate, so if he wants to re-engage, he could. Still, some sneaky damage, though, from that Chulainn. This lane is certainly not all done and over. Revan can't just walk up and be reckless.
The unfortunate part is, no matter how much damage he's dealing in these little skirmishes, Chaac has huge heal potential. Baron looking for the poke.
Yeah, he does have his ultimate. He's going to try to pull in Revan. That he does. iagog moves in on the gank to that solo lane. Finally buys some respite for Richard up there in the short lane. So that's a bit of a break there. Everything was going in Chaac's favor, and Baron, catching a death just a moment ago, gets himself in the kill column.
It's time for Chips Mafia to start really abusing this Baron. We know the ultimate's down. Hunbots is a fantastic gank. With the Blink and ultimate available, he can just move in quickly, likely solo the Baron, and then move towards the Gold Fury with his team. Since his ADC also has the lead.
I was thinking maybe a potential collapse there, but Dark Wizard thinks twice about that one and moves himself back out to safety. Does have a 1-level lead that he is nursing over Ozzy on the other side. We have touched on that solo lane a good bit, so maybe pivot towards this middle lane. You know, as maybe linear as we've brought Scylla up to being, you know, she can root as a kill comes out in the long lane, thanks to a little bit of a gank there. And that's going to be Delaware that's on the board with a kill on that Jing wave, so watch out once some stacking begins there. I know Aggro maybe has his thoughts on this Scylla. Where do you land?
This is one of the few times that Aggro and I have ever agreed on anything. Scylla is a very decent pick, and emphasis on decent
She's
in
not
that
bad.
she has damage. She's got a pretty decent ult for objective confirm, as well as additional damage you get the kill confirm with it. However, there's so many other gods that are not only safer than her, but deal more damage.
Sure.
More safely, more confirmable. Seen a little bit of a damage. Oh no!
Oh, the Whirlwind of Rage and Steel is going to spin around. Enough shielding is going to keep TheDarkSorrow alive right now. That's the Fear No Evil is going to send him packing back to base. He goes. Great rotations, good collapse from Chips Mafia, and they even up the kills.
TheDarkSorrow got the better end of Dark Wizard this time. Never thought I'd
That's
get to say that, right?
That was the battle that we brought up on the desk. It had to be. There was no other way that one goes. And unfortunately, this time, Dark Wizard falls. And that evens up now the support battle. There is a gank moving up into the solo lane. Revan is not going to have enough healing to keep that Chaac alive this time. And that's a good emphasis, I think. With the early lead that was in that short lane, the jungler is obviously putting some priority there.
Chaac is playing incredibly aggressively in the lane with no vision to cover it. It's pretty obvious that that's where we're going to look to gank. It's the most pushed up lane on the map. And the lead is almost gone at this point. You might as well rotate over there for the free kill, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, and it's now actually flipped. A first blood solo kill for Revan has now disappeared as a 2-level lead for Richard. Is now apparent up there in that solo lane. That's great emphasis, I think, from MastKiII to help out his solo laner a little bit and keep him relevant in this game.
Chaac also elected to go the full damage build, as you
That's
pointed
true.
out earlier with Transcendence. It's such an easy pick now. He was really leveraging the fact that he did have a lead, so I'm going to go ahead and try and push it, but now that Cullen's got the shield coming online, there's additional cooldown as well as a heal for himself. He can match Chaac's sustain a little bit, as well as anti-healing on the Chaac. It's just poor optimization now coming to fruition in that lane.
There is, well, it's just a blue buff now being cleared by Adrian there, so I don't imagine a gank rotates through to that short lane. In Hunter builds are something I think that have started to kind of morph and change depending on player play style. We've seen an Aussie once or twice picked up first, but not all that often, but Delaware has gone that route this time around.
So Aussie in Season 7, I like to equate it to like a Season 3 Ichabale in that
Sure.
it's the trade item. You're only looking to fight the enemy Hunter, and that's it.
Revan, though, maybe was looking for a little bit of extra damage. Richard moves in, but MastKiII finishes it off and over-aggressive one more time. And that's the third death in this game for that Chaac that found first blood just a couple minutes in. It is a Gold Fury now started up by Chips Mafia, realizing they may have an advantage over here on the left side of the map. Delaware is in range. There is a fight brewing off to the side. Gold Fury melted down forever. They're able to confirm this one. Chips Mafia. What a blunder there on their side as the rest of Forever start to move in. The Mercury in the back line is able to find the kill as well as Dark Wizard drops down Adrian. The retreat is in full effect here from Chips Mafia. And what a turn in this game. And this Mercury is having his impact.
I mean, that's the classic soul laner. There's 3 in my lane, please do Gold Fury. And that's all that's going to happen. Another one falls to the way of Dark Wizard. TheDarkSorrow going down again.
Be careful, though, as Revan goes back underneath that Tier 2 tower and is able to turn around to kill on a Dark Wizard. So where we stand is a 3-for-1, so they do get 1 kill traded back. But that's a big swing as you grab the Gold Fury and 3 kills. This game is now busted wide open for Forever.
Not only was the Gold Fury stolen away, but it was stolen away by 2 Jing autos. That's all it took. She walked in uncontested on the damage, and that's how it went down. It was just a little bit of a confusion from Chips Mafia. It looked like they wanted to disengage for the fight, but they need to realize that it's been pulled. And when the Gold Fury is below 1,000 health, disengage is almost never an option.
Right.
It's just going to get taken up by the other squad. Chips Mafia looking a little bit nervous.
Well, maybe back to that point you were trying to make about the Aussie. Delaware obviously picks that up as maybe a bit of a lane trade option and helps him steal out the Gold Fury there.
Yeah, I'm glad you reminded me so I can get back on my soapbox. Aussie early is a very European pickup. We haven't seen that in NA at all, but let's hold that thought as Revan's looking to get poked out a little bit. There's a lot of people on that side of the map, but it looks like it's going to fizzle out.
Yeah, nobody wants you to make this point, apparently, in this game, as Fear No Evil drops down in the mid lane. Adrian makes his impact on that Baron one more time. He's had a tough go of things. MastKiII now. He's on a killing spree at 3-0-3. Mercury executes that tier 1 tower dive. They're going to grab the first tower in that short lane. Chips Mafia now down 3 towers. Only tier 2s remaining all across the map. XP stands at about 6,700 differential, 5,000 gold differential forever. They can play this one out methodically and just run down the objectives on the map.
3 minutes ago, this game was just about completely even, but it's really been on Revan just dropping this full into mode in the lane, creating so many openings for Forever to move around the map. It is tough. He had the early lead, it just slipped away from him. From here on, Forever is in the driver's seat, but with only a 5,000 gold lead and just about as much experience, it's anyone's match, especially at this level of play. This isn't SPL. This is clearly they're playing to the level of the league that they're competing for.
It's certainly not insurmountable for Chips Mafia. The XP lead is pretty large, as we pointed out, but it is mostly on those hunters. Delaware, just at 1-0-1, has been able to pull enough of a lead. Some Gold Fury steals and a little bit of kills on the back end of that fight as well is going to pull that one as probably the largest lead in this game. If you're Kaori now, you're that Hu Yi. Are you just hoping to safely farm, but Delaware probably won't let that happen?
A 2-level deficit there. Hu Yi could still take the fight. It's really just that he doesn't have any lifesteal.
But he might need a gank, and that's an airstrike to get Delaware up into the sky and pull himself out. This one looks like it's going to fizzle out. MastKiII, though, looks for a little bit extra. Oh, those auto attacks do so much damage. Melted away is Adrian for the second time this game. That's the 4th kill now for that Mercury as Delaware grabs his 2nd of the game. The fight continues to break out. A couple members of Chips Mafia are going to backpedal their way back beneath this tier 2 tower. They are low, but not low enough maybe to consider the dive. There are no minions there for Forever, so they'll think twice, clear out that wave, and now they're just going to siege this one down and pocket some more gold.
That's all of Mercury's actives, but it was a good play onto the Hunbots. Incredibly lucky, however. Only 30% crit, and he found 2 crits back-to-back. Hunbots wasn't expecting that burst. That's why he looked to hold his ultimate a little bit, try and jump away. Instead, falls instantly to the 1-2 combo.
Yeah, unlucky, right?
Truly.
You're very sad if you're Adrian this time around, but the difference in the jungle has been apparent, and most of it has been on that solo lane with a lot of those 4 kills starting out with MastKiII just rotating his way up through and constantly ganking this Chaac, and he's had an impact that you'd like to see when this Mercury is this far ahead.
Yeah, Mercury's really making the wealth spread. Chulainn now a 2-level lead as well, as you said. But we can't fault Hunbots too much. He's 3-2. He's got the best slash line on the squad. He's trying his best, but when every lane's losing, it's especially hard.
Yeah, right. This is one of those situations where it seems like no matter which lane you gank, there's the threat that you're just going to die for it because everyone else is so far ahead. So he has made some plays, most kills and almost the fewest deaths as everyone else is at 2. Pyromancer started up here by Delaware. He can secure a Gold Fury on his own and maybe a Pyromancer as well. Chaac is going to drop down. Be careful. That is a full damage Chaac. He does steal away the Pyromancer, but what does he trade his life? That's the answer. Pyro for a kill. Who comes out on top?
If it's only the kill, Pyromancer is a fantastic steal, but you have to look at the map when you make plays like that. Gold Fury spawning, and they're looking to rotate in, Forever that is, poking out TheDarkSorrow as well.
Yeah, there could be more on the back end of it, and that's when things start to fall apart here if you're Chips Mafia. MastKiII ripped his way through there. That's Fear No Evil, sends Delaware running down, drops that Hu Yi ultimate. Plenty of shielding, extends the life of the Jing wave, but not long enough. Baron is just going to pull a few in, stuns up Oz, who then drops down to the hand of Dark Wizard. And now you're just going to fall here if you're Kaori. He grabs a kill in the fight, but unfortunately finds death at the end. So now you look at how all things stand. It's a Pyro plus 1 kill, but you lose 3. Maybe a Primal Fury here at the end of it all.
Primal Fury is so potent at this point in the match. It's going to make Fire Giant easier to kill. That fight could have gone either way. Let's hold that thought. Adrian might go for the steal here. Probably break down that fight.
Yeah, he thought about it, didn't do it, and then died. So now, unfortunately, immediately off respawn, he's going to have to go back to base for another 30 or so seconds, and the lead continues to grow here. It was about 5,000 5 minutes ago when we checked in. It's extended to about 8,000, a 12,000 XP differential as well. What do you want to see here if you're Forever?
Walk straight into the Fire Giant. Chips Mafia have made it very clear that they're not going to use their ults cohesively. As that fight started in the Tier 2 tower for Chips Mafia, they kind of desynced their ultimates. Scylla engaged with I'm a Monster, didn't really land it onto anyone. Hunbots blinked in afterward when he knew all the follow-up was down, got the fear onto Dawei. That's Delaware.
Right.
Little Jing Wei joke for you.
Oh, that was... oh, God. You ever feel like you just got punched in the gut because a joke was just so bad?
Well, you're not talking about my joke, are you?
No, it happened earlier today. It certainly wasn't what I just heard, whatever that was. That was a duel, though. Delaware, be careful. Kaori turns around the damage. He was behind.
Toxic.
That's going to be the taunt, and maybe worthwhile when you're technically a level behind and behind in your build. He's able to turn that around. The Rage is almost fully stacked, and Kaori doesn't have it just yet, but the Hu Yi wins out that duel.
The difference maker there was Hu Yi finally got that Aussie online. He can start sustaining the fight. Aussie passive is so powerful. You get additional lifesteal when you're incredibly low health. You're going to be swinging for 300 damage per auto and getting about 100 health back per auto. You're not going to be able to trade into that unless you have that.
Your No Evil is going to try to get MastKiII, but caught out here, sensing maybe a collapse from Forever. He's going to back off as Kaori, with a newfound sense of confidence, is going to move his way in after cleaning up, can't believe I'm going to say it, Del Wei just a moment ago. And that bears no repeating ever again. The fight continues in the mid lane. Revan is going to pull his way back. I'm a Monster, drops down, but TheDarkSorrow has to move his way out of this fight as he's too low, and the cooldowns are well on cooldown, and Ozzy is going to move his way back into the left side jungle. Revan is split off here, but Richard, he's plenty tanky enough to dive that tier 2, cleans up the kill on the Chips Mafia mid laner, and it looks like that's where we stand. There are a hefty amount of relics that are burnt in that fight, but only one falls, and Fire Giant looks like it may be started.
They know that they forced out Chaac, but he does have the sustain to stick around, but Mast gonna get picked out in mid. Nice punch! Finds Adrian.
He's able to turn that one around. Fire Giant still is up. Revan is going to move in. Looks like he might want to try to steal this one away. It's looking like it's going to drop down, but well-timed. Clean up the Chaac, clean up the FG, and 3 kills on the back end as well. MastKiII, he does fall, but he's just playing a bit of delay and buying his team some time.
You said it was well-timed. I'm going to go ahead and call it sloppy. They simultaneously killed the Chaac and the Fire Giant.
As far as the universe goes, right?
Universally, karma, they got it lucky there. But as a team, neither one were focused on either objective. One person's still slamming the Fire Giant with autos. The rest are focusing the Chaac. At any point, if Chaac found a stray auto onto that Giant, it could have gone his way.
It does plenty of damage, but this is FG now locked in for Forever. They have 2 tier 2 towers, one in the mid and one in the right. They could look to confirm, and maybe that's where the objective eye stands if you're the captain of that team calling these shots.
Forever can go just about anywhere right now. Sure. They can do no wrong. 10,000 gold lead, Fire Giant available. Most of the actives are down on the side of Chips Mafia. They're coming up soon, but they know that Chaac has nothing, so their engage is going to be very low on the defenses on towers and Phoenixes. I don't imagine they try even to defend a tier 2 tower. However, as I say that, they're getting picked out in one.
There could be a collapse here as Richard is going to move in. They do burn. The Hunbot's ultimate does get Adrian rather out alive, so maybe an ult well spent there just to keep this one at a 5v5 for the time being, but that means you have to back off and you have odd numbers on this tier 2 tower that Forever is going to be able to clean up just fine. No minions, no problem. Right side tier 2 falls. And they're electing to kind of split this one up. They're going to send MastKiII into the mid lane, but Kaori is there. They're looking for a duel. Ultimate quickly charged, quickly flies its way through. Batz is there to help out. No way you win that 2v1. They're still strong. Be careful. Revan, not tanky enough. And iagog grabs a kill on the right-hand side of the map, so it's a 1-for-1, but this right side Phoenix is under some duress.
See, if I were the team captain there, I'm calling group up, take the Phoenix, the Hunbot's ult is down, but instead they split up, get picked, and now it's an even defense.
Batz is rotating over from mid. not have his ultimate for a few more seconds. 2 ultimates, 3 ultimates rather, down 4 forever. Whirlwind of Rage and Steel tosses back Ozzy. Delaware, he's plenty damaging enough on that Jing Wei, and he's going to clean up the kill, and down to about 10% HP now is that Phoenix. Fear No Evil sends a couple scattered out from the side of this fight. 2 members backpedaling from Chips Mafias. They're down to about half health. Mid lane, tier 2 tower still stands, and it looks like right side Phoenix and back off for forever.
Adrian is displaying very good mechanics in that he can find these forward-man ultimates, but team cognizance isn't there. He knows that his squad just got pushed out, used all their cooldowns, and he blinks in anyway, finds 4 with the ult, but for what? Now you don't have it available for the mid-Phoenix defense. That's just another free opportunity for forever.
There's an exposed left side Phoenix, as well as soon to be a mid lane Phoenix if this tier 2 tower does end up falling, which it does. There is a Fury up, Gold Fury this time around, that could be secured for forever. And it looks like this is the sort of situation where they realize we have a lead, we can win these fights, but let's play it smart, let's secure these map objectives, extend our lead a little bit, and then give it a push when the rest of the minions are in position.
14,000 gold in the now 15.
That's nuts.
That is a lot of gold. That's 2 items on every god if it gets to that point, but 54,000, I should say, gold on the side of Chips Mafia. They're coming close to their 6th item, so this gold lead, although extending very soon, is going to become irrelevant outside of elixirs and potions and things like that.
Well, I asked you a moment ago what you wanted to see out of Forever, and I think they've brought exactly what you wanted to see. What do you want to see now if you're Chips Mafia?
If I'm Chips Mafia, I'm telling everyone, group up around the Phoenix, play off the Hun Batz ult, let's stop using it disjointed, and just look for at least 1 pick. Hun Batz, normally you're looking to get at least 2 or 3 because it's such a huge AoE circle of CC, but instead if they could just find 1 to slow down Forever, maybe not even reject the entire push, just slow them down, that's their foothold back into this match.
And I like Doug's hover there, Gem of Isolation for a little bit of extra slowing and some damage there for Dark Wizard on that Xing Chen.
Yeah, that is a confident pickup.
Sure.
You don't pick up Gem of Isolation support just about ever. You only do it if you think, wow, these guys are kind of free right now. I'm just going to get a little bit extra damage.
Yeah, why not be confident when you're that far ahead in this game, and this could be the final fight if Forever's able to clean it up. That's a beautiful Fear No Evil. It's going to set up a great fight for Chips Mafia. 2 down now for Forever, and they are full 5 strength. That's the back pedal, back off if you're Forever. What a setup, and you called it perfectly. Let's follow up on that Hun Batz, and let's win the fight.
That's the very first time Hun Batz has used his ult surrounded by his entire team, and what do you know? Giant circle of CC is going to line you up for 2 kills there.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Uncontested, by the way. Now they're 5 strong into 3 on the side of Forever. They could even look to move in towards the Fire Giant now. They've got 30 seconds on a spawn. They could force a fight here or maybe even potentially sneak away the objective. It won't get them much in terms of swinging the match, but it'll stop Forever from pushing into their Titan.
Well, he is able to get back in that short lane. 4, almost 5 members, all level 20 for Forever, with Chips Mafia still playing catch up there. Fire Giant started up. Richard, the only one in range, as Delaware rotates over from the mid lane as well. Kaori does so much damage to that FG. He's just going to melt this one away, and if the zone is good enough, Chips Mafia will be able to secure this one. Richard in range. He moves his way into the FG pit. Chips Mafia secure this one out. They might even get a kill onto Delaware to boot. Richard knocks up a few. The knockback is there. Kaori finds the kill. Delaware has to disengage. Drops down. Goes Adrian. Watch out. Oh, no! Delaware turns around the damage. Adrian falls. You grab FG and a kill, but you lose your jungler.
Not only your jungler, Mercury's in the backline now.
And he looks like he's wanting to re-engage, and re-engage he does. Whirlwind of Rage and Steel only connects on to 1. Delaware still low from the previous engagement is going to be able to move back beneath his tier 1 tower this time. Kaori is low, and that is Xing Chen. That does a decent amount of damage, but some shielding is going to allow them to disengage from this fight. So we do stand at a 1-for-1, but a big swing as Chips Mafia grab themselves the Fire Giant.
It is a huge swing. It's going to slow down Forever a ton, but for every stroke of genius Adrian affords us, he gives us a play like that where he just kind of into modes into Delaware, showing us the way as you would.
I gave you a pass on Delaware a minute ago, and we went right back to it. I'm sad about it. That one, you know what, Miff, that one connected a little bit better than Delaware, I think. Delaware, you know what, I'll give you that one. I'll give you the thumbs up.
She is a queen, you know, you got to follow her.
Yeah, running face first into a full item level 20 Jing Wei doesn't seem like a great idea. Maybe you think your team is there to back you up, but they weren't that time around. Still feeling confident, though, is Forever. I mean, I don't imagine Chips Mafia are going to try to fully push up here on this map, because even with FG, they are still behind.
Forever is likely going to look to push down the right side Phoenix for the side of Chips Mafia. It's the weakest Phoenix on the map, but we've seen now that Chips Mafia recognizes that Hunbat's ult is a utility tool to be used with the team, so it's not going to be as easy as it was in the past, but Forever could very easily, if they just get even inside the Phoenix for a split second, it will fall.
Oh, Adrian is in the side jungle here. MastKiII is there and does have his ultimate.
Yikes.
Does not have his ultimate anymore. Doesn't connect. A couple blinks exchanged here as Adrian looks to move back. Whirlwind of Rage and Steel is going to get beadsed out. This time he's just going to move his way away from the fight as Chips Mafia kind of in a weird split engagement. Richard moves himself in. 3-man ultimate from him. Rage bar nearly up. He's going to transform here shortly. MastKiII pushed back by Adrian. He's caught out from the rest of his team. He's going to send one spinning, but Kaori shrugs it off and gets the kill onto MastKiII. That's a 5-3-7 Mercury. It was 5-2-7. But continuously, Forever moves themselves in, and they lose a member or two and have to back off.
So at this point, your Phoenix is back up. You have Fire Giant on the side of Chips Mafia. There's 6 towers available on the map. That's just about enough to close the gold lead. Not that it's even relevant at this point. They're all just about full build. If I'm Chips Mafia, I'm going to pick up this gold tree, I'm going to return to base, and then push up the side of solo lane, because it's just the safest lane to push in that you can only see people coming from one direction. Pushing up mid, always difficult. You could also elect to go into the long lane, but at this point, because all the towers are available, you might as well go down solo so you can keep presence on the Fire Giant side of the map. But instead, it looks like they're going to elect for long and make me look foolish.
Well, it's a tier 1 tower nonetheless. You're right. All 6 still standing for Forever. It looks like this one will be for free, as nobody for Forever wants to take that fight at a 4v5 disadvantage, and Chips Mafia moves their way back to base. Kind of revisiting this Chaac build, though. He did go into Transcendence first, but then moved his way into some power boots as well. But then it's kind of gone full defense after the fact there. Do you mind sort of that hybrid style, or do you kind of now wish in retrospect, do you kind of go all one way or the other?
Hybrid, in the realm of the Battleground, we call that Bruiser. It's kind of the only way to play Chaac. If you go full damage, you'll never have enough damage output to match the average assassin. If you go full tank, you're doing just about nothing because his base stats on his abilities are relatively low, so he's only going to have that big slow as disruption factor. And that's the issue, and I think that's why Hindu pointed out in the late game Chaac falls off. He doesn't really have that niche. He could elect to go for the Runeforged Hammer, get some additional health, as well as really good synergy with the passive on Runeforged CC, allowing him to do more damage. Instead, he's electing to go a little bit more damage again down the Transcendence tree. This Chaac build, it lacks cohesion to me. He's not building enough health. The CDR coming out of Breastplate of Valor, although nice, it's not enough defense to really justify the lack of health in the build. Especially now that Chin Sais are a little bit out of the meta, it's going to be a lot easier to build down that path as Mast hits the boosh beads, if you would.
Yeah, a touch unfortunate there from MastKiII. You mentioned Chaac kind of falling off in the late game. He started to fall off when MastKiII set up a tent on the right-hand side of that map after Richard fell for first blood, but neither here nor there. Still a chance for Revan to make his impact on this game as he stands at 2-7-3, but MastKiII finds
a huge pick.
The move around the backside of Adrian. That Hunbat's has been so important for the Chips Mafia fight setup here. And that's going to go missing. Fire Giant, you're a bit lamented that they're going to give this one up, but nobody from Chips Mafia wants to dip a toe into that boiling hot water, and Forever's going to grab themselves FG, and they've got a 4v5 for 35 more seconds.
I understand why they don't move into fire there. However, Enhanced Fire Giant with this deficit, you have to know it's nearly a death sentence on the game. It removes the backdoor protection on these Phoenixes, so it's going to fall even more quickly than it would have otherwise. Hunbat's is dead, so you know your Phoenix defense is incredibly unlikely, so you need to try and steal away the fire instead. This defense not going as terrible as I thought.
Yeah, they want to engage on this one, though. They've got the numbers not only on the map, but on that right-hand side. Underneath the Phoenix, Ozzy very low here, and that's some ultimates traded back and forth. Right side Phoenix surely going to fall here, but Forever wants a little bit more. 45 seconds now on the respawn timer from Revan. Adrian just now back from base. They're going to move their way right back through that mid lane Phoenix. Dark Wizard is low, but not low enough to get cleaned up there. Richard is going to take a separate route out from the rest of his team, and it's right side Phoenix, and now maybe mid is the next target.
Forever has 2 ultimates available in Delaware and MastKiII. They can move in at any point towards these Phoenixes. They have Chaac down for a while, but the engagement happens outside the Phoenix instead.
I mean, regardless of the difference, you got to be careful of that Hu Yi. He does plenty to your squishies, and fortunately, iagog realizes that after catching a few of those auto attacks, and Scylla is decent at clearing waves here towards the end of this game. Mid lane Phoenix is going to absolutely evaporate as Revan just now respawns back to 5 strong on the defense for Chips Mafia. But it is a convincing and methodical enough push for Forever that they're able to grab right, grab mid, and maybe start to drop some wards around this Fury.
They're so healthy. They have Fire Giant continuing to heal them as well as the healer on the comp. They know Hunbat's ult is down. They saw it used. I would elect to push into the other Phoenix instead. They're going to back up and looks like get ready for this Oni Fury.
Sure.
Yes, Oni Fury stacks with fire minions, but at this point, not a huge deal. The mage on the side of Chips Mafia is just going to one-shot those waves anyway. Right. Oni Fury, as well as the additional gold, who cares? You're at 94,000 as a squad. Your elixirs are going to be coming out pretty soon. This is just hesitant play. It's slow.
Sure.
It's methodical, as you said, but methodical without purpose.
Methodical is a gentle way of saying, like, very cautious, I think, at least in this context. There was a pretty massive wave pushing up from Chips Mafia in that long lane, so maybe you want to wait until, even how squishy they may be, those minions are there to help you out. It is Oni Fury that spawns now for Forever, and it looks like will be cleaned up by Forever as nobody from Chips Mafia is there. You don't often see, I mean, I guess every once in a while you see these games end with 3 Phoenixes down. Do you think that's maybe where Forever have to look? Push down left side and then take the Titan?
It seems like they don't really know how to move in towards the Titan if the enemy is still alive, and that's what you see from these lower-end teams. They don't really know how to play with their lead. We've all been there, I'm sure. So I'd imagine they move in towards this Phoenix, probably get a couple kills, and then bypass the Phoenix for the Titan.
Sure.
But it's just what you see from these newer squads. They don't know how to leverage these leads accurately. They could have won this game 10 minutes ago had they chose to.
If you're Forever right now, how are you leveraging this lead? Because obviously Chips Mafia is just going to hang out behind this wall in their base. Are you ideally just running in until one of them steps up and you grab a pick?
So you can move in towards the Phoenix, force out the singular teamfight ultimate that you have to be worried about in Adrian. If Fear No Evil is dropped, you can completely ignore the rest of the team and walk towards the Titan instead.
Could try to find that engage. iagog finds the first kill onto Revan as Ozzy tries to peel, but he's not able to do so, and that's 2 down now for Chips Mafia. Left side Phoenix under duress, ripping through as the Mercury in the back line. He's going to utilize his dash, but only dashes into death. Finally, the Hunbat's ultimate comes out, but it's a little bit too little, a little bit too late. You got 2 squishy members trying to defend your Titan. A surrender vote begins if you're Chips Mafia. It's going to end one way or the other. Titan down to about half health, and 5 members strong and Forever are going to push into the base. They're going to take the Titan, and they're going to move on to the semifinals.
Congratulations to them and their placement in the group stage. They could do well. They could. Yeah. It just really depends on which group they find themselves in. If they come up against a more veteran team, I'm not rooting for these guys.
Yeah, that is, well, you're rooting for them, but maybe you're not putting your chips on their side of the table.
Yeah, no money's going towards these guys.
And you know, maybe a bit hesitant in decision-making there towards the end. Really quick, what happens to this Chaac? I mean, is it as simple as a Mercury starts to camp your lane and you lose the entire lead that you had built up?
It's that classic solo laner confidence in that you get that early lead, you completely ignore the rest of the map because you're so used to being on an island, so you play on the enemy's tower line. That's not a safe spot if you can't see people coming to you. He didn't buy a single ward pre-10 minutes.
Sure.
Yeah, you're going to fall, especially with the semi-global coming out of Mercury.
And you build Transcendence first, so you got plenty
defense.
of damage, but not a lot of survivability with the power that Mercury is able to bring on through. And we did get to see a little bit of that Baron Samedi in the mid lane, and I thought, although it maybe took a back seat to some of the other members, it did look pretty decent that time around. That is Forever taking quarterfinal number 1. We're going to take a quick break and jump back with another quarter.